Streaming cyberspace into your place, sanctioned by the Red Light Racing League from Watkins, Glen International. It's the Virtual Grip Network's 7th round coverage of the Skitter Creek SK Modified Series Season 13. Having won 2 in a row and 3 out of the last 4, current point leader Eric Stout is on a hot streak. The last thing Teapot wants at this point is any kind of wrench in the mechanism, any kind of off-speed pitch to upset the rhythm of his momentum. But that is just what the schedule makers have dished up, because for just the second time in series history, the Red Light Racing League has brought the modifieds to a road course. If you're the kind of person who longs to see Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster, then stay tuned for something almost as rare as the drivers you've all become familiar with are forced to turn right. There are 7 active drivers who raced in the first and only other road course event. That too was at Watkins Glen, and a tick over 3 calendar years ago. Brian Bianchi has the best result of the bunch, that being a 9th. It's anybody's guess how things will go this afternoon, so pull the lever on the lazy boy and settle in for some simulated road course action streaming your way. A warm Finger Lake hello and welcome on this Thursday, February 20th, 2025. The institution, J.R. Shepherd, joins yours truly, Bill Soupson, hi from the VGN broadcast booth to bring you our Words Eye View. This afternoon, it's Ryan Senator, turning the knobs and pushing the sliders as always. All right, JR, 2 things unusual for a Red Light Racing League broadcast: right turns and pit stops.
Absolutely, Soup. Tonight, these drivers will have their hands full at this track. Normally, like we said, they drive the SK Modified. Tonight, they're running the Tour Modified. That means approximately 250 more extra horsepower to deal with. That alone is going to keep the drivers occupied, because you will have to practice patience when getting back on that throttle off the corners in order to preserve those rear tires, particularly that left rear. And so these drivers, like you said, don't normally run road courses during the year. I really believe that the name of the game at this track will be eliminating mistakes. These cars are very hard to drive, and the faster you push, the greater the risk for going off track and potentially ending your night. If you can reduce or eliminate those mistakes, no matter how slow you are, you can walk away with a good finish here tonight.
Might be a case of the tortoise and the hare. Let's go ahead and see how it plays out. You know, let's take this opportunity to run down the points here. No drivers making season debuts at Lanier. The number of drivers who have raced at least once this season holds at 28. The rules package allows for drivers to drop their single worst result, so the graphic reflects each driver's best 5 out of 6 outcomes, with the worst results saved in that driver's pocket. Thanks to pocket points, all but 5 of the 28 drivers have been able to avoid needing to take a 0 in their total. Eric Stout, well, he's led 340 laps this season. That's 157 more laps than the nearest best. Lanier saw Bradley Steffen earn his 3rd top 10. Rex Hoyle leads all drivers in top 10 finishes. You know, the book is 5 for 5 with a no-show. Every race he's had has been a top 10. Chad Alcaraz climbs up several spots in the points ladder. Though still winless, defending champ Jeff Ahu is beginning to fire on all cylinders, you know, with the 2nd and the 4th in his last 2 times out. A 3rd of Lanier makes Brian Bianchi the big mover. How about 9 positions up the ladder for Brian? Fred Leclerc's best result was a 2nd at Concord. Kenny Allen is the only driver in the top 10 to lose positions. He drops 2 spots. Brandon Feeney hangs his hat on a Langley win. And how about this? Kid Lemon Lime rejoins the top 10. Luke Logan Allen's best result this season was a 5th at Concord. Then we have a couple drivers tied there for 10th. Qualifying going on right now. And now they're gridding up. And we'll go ahead and give you this grid call. You know what? This round 7 grid call is brought to you by RacedayCT.com. Now, New York, I've done some research, is not part of New England. But if you are in New England, the most comprehensive site for short track racing news in New England, well, let me tell you, baby, it is going to be our sponsor, RacedayCT.com. Okay. let's go ahead and give you the starting order right now. Small field tonight, only 17 drivers, unusually small for red light racing. Let me correct myself, 19. So let's give them to you right now. On the pole, well, my goodness, whether he's on an oval or a road course, he seems to be fast. It's your point leader with 3 wins under his belt so far this season. We're talking about Teapot, Eric Stout. He's going to be inside another previous winner this season is Bradley Steffel.
Yeah, rolling off in row 2, we got the father-son combo. Ken Allen will roll off in 3rd. In 4th place, Luke Logan Allen.
A couple guys whose parents couldn't have the imagination to give them actual names in their first name. TJ Henson in 5th, AJ Hamill in 6th.
Rolling off in 7th place, we got the 17 of Chad Alcaraz. 8th place, Rex Hoyle.
Rob Higgins will go in 9th. He's going to be inside a defending champ. Look how far down the order Jeff Otto is.
Yeah, and rolling off in row number 6 on the inside, we got Brian Bianchi, and rolling off in 12th place on that outside, Fred Leclerc.
In the Baker's Douglas spot, he's not in the top 10 in the point standings, but no driver has turned more laps than the Lipper, Chris Hazlip. He's going to be flanked by Doyle Lowrance. Good to see Doyle back. He's missed a few. And let me make sure I have that right. I might have that one wrong. Let me correct myself there. It is Joshua Buckley who's going to be outside now.
Yeah, rolling off in 15th place, we got Bruce Pearson. 16th place tonight. Rolling off will be Brandon Feeney.
We get down to all these drivers from Buckley down here and Pearson. They did not put in qualifying times. Feeney as well. Rob Higgins will be going in 17th. Now there's Doyle Lawrence down there in 18th. And finally ran it out to field Andrew Critical Massey. All right, 19 drivers here today. JR, something you talked about. No incident limits, so that kind of opens up some interesting racing lines.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be able to extend your corner exit on a lot of these corners and get away with it without getting an incident point. And a couple of the reasons why those drivers will want to do that is just you're able to open up that wheel. These things are very loose on throttle. You're able to apply that throttle and gain traction. So expect to see a lot of these drivers running wide on those corners that do not have grass on the outside of them.
Now they head down here. This left-hander, then a right-hander. We'll get this show on the road. We hope you got your snacks and drinks right there with you on the Lazy Boy, because no yellow flags here tonight on a road course. We're going 41 laps, and we expect it to be nothing but racing in anger. In control of the field, waiting for the flag. Chugga-lug, makes you want to holler, hidey-ho. Stout on the inside. Brian Steffen on the outside. Bradley goes very wide. Will he get the momentum off the corner? No. Stout gets the lead. They tuck back in. Look at this. Everybody clean so far through one.
They are, but up through these S's, these drivers will have their hands full here tonight. That rear end wants to move around a lot through here, so you've got to be careful. I do not expect to see anybody too wide going through there.
They get it sorted out. Now they come up for the first time to the inner loop. A quick right, a quick left, and they're back out there. Stout gets it through cleanly. Now the outer loop, this big swooping right-hander. You can almost hear the calliope as they work their way around the carousel. Stout beginning to open it up.
Yeah, Eric didn't turn a whole lot of laps in practice, but it was clear once he did that he had a ton of speed. So he's obviously very, very comfortable driving this car around here.
Let's jump in and look at the number 38 machine. This is Brandon Feeney. Brandon is up 4 spots, the only driver to really pick up spots so far. So he's going to pick up 4 positions in 1 lap.
Yeah, and it's a little surprising because I don't think he did not get a qualifying lap in, but he's clearly got some good pace here, being able to move through the field early.
Yeah, maybe he was so fast in qualifying he was making a shot at the pole and that cost him put him farther back. Well, we'll see what we can do now. Everybody else is starting to stretch out. JR talked about it. This might be a case of just not making mistakes and be able to vulture spots while the man you're chasing is in the grass.
Yeah, if you're one of the drivers that is just not comfortable turning left and right, not doing a lot of road courses throughout the year, this is a place that you just need to turn laps and keep the car on track. And it may be several laps. You may feel like, hey, I'm really slow, I don't need to be out here. But several laps later, you'll see somebody that was up ahead of you make a mistake. And odds are, in this type of car, if you make a mistake, you're really going to get some damage. It's probably going to end your night. So that's an easy position to pick up.
Be right on board there with TJ Henson. Henson currently in 5th spot. And now he is side by side. Oh, and Feedy makes a mistake. He was working his way through the field, and now the 38 has turned around and he falls all the way to the very back.
Yeah, that is something very easy to do in the last corner here with these Tour Modifieds. The rear end is very light. It wants to really slide around. It's kind of like trying to balance yourself on a balance beam when you go through a corner like that, and the rear end will come around on you quickly, especially if you try to hold it down on the inside.
Gets it back out there. See if I can pick up those car numbers. That's the 11 that we're looking at. Oh, Karis with that's 17. Sorry, I couldn't read that number. That's Hamill right on his bumper.
Yeah, and I believe Alcaraz he had a bad lap for sure, because he was up several positions from what he is now. So yeah, he's had a rough lap, but obviously he's kept the car clean. He's got it back rolling. I talked about it earlier. You don't have to eliminate all the mistakes, but you need to reduce them. So he's made some. He needs to keep it clean from here on out.
I'm going to look at the 40 if we could. We were just on it. That's the yellow car of Rob Higgins. He's come up behind A.J. Hamill. He's about to make this pass. Now Higgins is already up 3 spots. Looking for a little more. This is a battle for 5th position.
Yeah, Hamill's definitely the one to watch, because he is moving forward where a lot of drivers aren't at this moment, or they have and then fallen back to wherever it is that they started at. So he's continuing to move forward, but definitely has Ken Allen all over the back of him through the bus stop.
Loses a little mental entering the bus stop. That allows Ken Allen to get right up behind him. Okay, JR, help me about tire wear here. What do you think? You have to make a pit stop. Is a tire change something you do, or does that just take way too long in these cars?
I feel like it takes a very long time to fuel these cars, because typically you have to fuel them from the back hatch. There's not like a quick fuel filler or anything that you would normally have, but I think you're going to want to take tires just because, talked about it earlier, this rear end moves around a lot, and no matter how much you try to take care of those rear tires, by the time it's pit stop time, those rear tires are hot and angry. So I feel like you want to get them off the car. Unfortunately, unlike real life, iRacing doesn't just let you change the rear tires as far as backing the rear end up like they do in real life when they have a pit stop. So you do have to take left sides and right sides, even if you just take the rear tires.
Looking at that nice battle a little farther back. I want to take you back up to the lead real quick. Stout had opened up a nice lead, and he was starting to run away with it, and then Bradley Steffen said, all right, enough of that, and now he is right there. Interesting, different lines that they take. As you can see, Steffen keeps the car on the track, and Stout rolls it all the way around.
Yeah, and you talk about the speedway type racing where you really have to look around and find clean air. This is a super speedway of road courses, Watkins Glen is, so you're carrying a lot of speed. So moving around and finding a slightly different line than that driver ahead of you can be an advantage. It can keep air on the nose of that car and help it rotate the way you need to.
For those familiar with Watkins Glen, we are racing the Cup configuration. That one doesn't have the boot down there at the end of the lap.
Yeah, and these drivers, as you're watching on screen, as they go into the inner loop bus stop area, they're going in there at over 150 mile an hour. So definitely these cars, they could go faster, but the way the gearing is, that's what they're carrying through there, and it is a ton of speed. That is an extremely fast section. You got to be very precise because the smallest wiggle or movement is going to cost you a lot of time.
JR, you mentioned gearing. Let's drill down a little bit on that. You were out there for a little bit. What were you doing for shifting?
Yeah, I think every driver is going to do something a little bit different. I think there's nothing wrong with staying in second gear all the way around this track, especially when it comes to preserving tire wear. But I think if you want to be fast, you're going to have to shift in a couple of corners. I really like doing it down into turn 1, and I was also doing it through the bus stop. I don't think it's necessary at all. It's just something that I enjoy doing, and it allowed me to get up out of the corner a little bit harder to get into the long sweeping right-hander.
We ride on board with Ken Allen. He's in a real hornet's nest here. He's got Jeff Aho in front of him, and hunting him down there is Fred Leclerc.
I like what you just saw on board with Ken Allen there in turn 1. He took a very late entry into turn 1, but what it allowed him to do is square off that exit, and he came off straight and had a ton of speed.
And Jeff Aho maybe got a slowdown penalty, but the pass is made. Little different if you're not familiar with road course racing. Sometimes if you have an off, you have to slow down. Whatever happened, Aho loses the position. Ken Allen gets it done. Fred Leclerc just drops a spot to Kid Lemon Lime in the number 6. Let's look at that car. He just picks up a spot, chasing his dad.
Yeah, and he's got tons of speed too. Maybe a little bit too much speed at times, based on what we've seen, because he has fallen back a little bit, but he is starting to make progress once again forward, and he, again, got plenty of speed. If he'll just slow down just a little bit, I believe he can get up there and race the leaders.
There's another pass being made. So many of these passes look like people may be serving slowdown penalties. They seem to be easily made. You know, we were talking about Luke Logan Allen. Can we ride on board? My director showed me a shot of his paint scheme. Can we look off the tail of his car that you showed? There we go. How about that? Kid Lemon Lime right there.
Yeah, very nice. I like that. That's cool.
Indeed. I have yet to see J.R. Shepard put junk rubber on his car, but there's still hope. All laps led by Eric Stout. We talked about it in the intros. We ran down the points. He's led 360 laps so far this season. He has really been having it his own way. Former champion. Nice battle a little farther back. To see that Henson gets around Hamill. Moves up into third.
Yeah, definitely. TJ had a run on him for sure, and it was very good by Hamill to just, give up that position. He got out of the way, took a late corner entry to allow him to get by. That's smart racing. It's a very long way to go in this race.
9 laps in. We're going to be here for a while. Oh, careful. That's Bianchi.
Yeah, Brian, we'll have to get another look at it possibly, but it looked like he got in just a little too hot, but he did everything. As we're watching it here, the replay, he was trying to make the pass on the inside of the 13, did everything he could to stay off of the 13, and in doing so, it just spun himself.
Buckley tried to give him room. They go around. What a great camera shot. Look at the different racing lines for the different drivers. Love that. Some keeping on the track, some drifting way out to the left.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, I think, that don't normally watch road racing. There is a number of ways to get around this track and to get around it fast. So that's the very cool thing when you see a track that's as fast as Watkins Glen. Tons of different movement and lines that the drivers are using.
What about the draft, JR, on these straightaways? Is that something that comes into play?
It definitely will be in these tour modifieds, but the big thing is that in order to get that draft, you're going to have to do it at the end of the S's here, which means you've got to stay close to that driver in front of you as you go through the S's. If you can do that, you will be able to get a good draft and a good run, as we're seeing Rex Hoyle try to do that right now on Chad Alcaraz.
Alcaraz just lost a spot to Ken Allen, and now Hoyle right there trying to get this done. Hoyle has a missed race so far. We've had 6 races in the books. It's funny to talk about the book when we're talking about Hoyle. Hoyle has not missed a top 10. He does have a no-show, but every race he's been in, he's finished in the top 10, and he's racing an 8th right now, looking to keep that streak alive.
Yeah, and he's got the second highest average finish in the league right now. So, yeah, he's really making ground, and not a driver I don't think that we really expected to see do that when we were watching back at race number 1. So, yeah, standing out as of late, moving forward each and every week.
Sitting up inside the top 10, and the points well inside the top 10. Let's look at Kid Lemon Lime in the 6th. He is all over the back of Jeff Aho. That'd be a battle for 9th. He made one stab at him, and he wants one more.
Yeah, I think he can definitely get there, and I think he's kind of toned it down a little bit, which is one thing we kind of talked about. He's got a ton of speed. If he'll just harness that a little bit, he'll be able to move forward. And, you know, we still got, 30 laps to go in this race. There's plenty of time to make passes, so don't do anything crazy and get yourself in trouble.
What a great camera shot there. Again, he takes the car farther out left, coming at you. 4 in a row there be in front of Allen. Alcaraz, Hoyle, and Aho. Let's jump up, going to look at Rob Higgins right now. This is Ken Allen, that's Luke Logan's dad. He's got some speed coming in on Higgins. They go through the right-hander now. And I think this is a pass that's going to happen.
Yeah, Ken kept it nice and tidy through turn 1 there and got nowhere near the rumple strips, which can cause wheel spin. So he was able to get a good run out of turn 1. He's got the draft coming on to the back straightaway here. I'm not sure he's quite close enough, but he does have that draft. He's going to make up a lot of ground going into the inner loop here.
Boy, look at the closing right there as he comes in right behind him. Now look, he gets to the inside through the outer loop and the pass. We knew it was coming, and there it is. Move Ken Allen one more spot up into 5th. Rob Higgins still up 3 spots, even though he lost one there.
Yeah, smart driving by Ken there. He did nothing to push the issue. He just ran a nice, tidy line. He kept it close to Higgins and was able to get the pass made.
You can see on the tower, you're not missing anything up front. Teapot has really had it his own way. And now we have ourselves a pitter.
And, Soup, this is going to be the other thing that's interesting about road courses is you will see different strategies as far as when you make that pit stop. Obviously, Henson realizes that he's in the pit window. He can make it the rest of the way from here. So he's going to go ahead and pit, get himself out of traffic, and all he has to worry about is turning lap time until he gets caught up with the other drivers as they start to make their pit stops.
My dad used to call this the early peel, late reveal. And what that means is he peels in early, you forget about him, and then what's revealed at the end when everything is settled is all goes up, hey, where did TJ Henson come from? So keep an eye on him. If you're one of Soup's soldiers in his clipboard army, well, go ahead and mark that down. TJ Henson, first to pit.
Yeah, and I really like that strategy, especially if you're somebody that's not up front, because when you come out of the pit, you're going to be by yourself. All you have to do is focus on driving the track. You don't have to worry about any cars around you. Just make good lap time.
Remember, it doesn't really matter when you pit. You can imagine if you're leaving for work in the morning and you don't have enough gas to get there, you can either stop at the station that's right around the corner from your house or stop at the station right before work. either way, you're going to put in the same amount of fuel, whether you take it early or late.
And I mentioned, when you pit coming out into Glen traffic.
Look at that.
But if you end up getting caught up with some of the guys that are running way far back in the pack, you can come out in the traffic. Luckily for TJ there, he's coming out just behind one car, and that one car is the distance ahead of him. So it's going to work out nicely for him, I think.
So TJ Henson is the leader of all the cars that pitted. Now, what we will do here on the broadcast, when other cars decide to pit, we will focus on the car pitting, and then we will also draw our attention to Henson. Because who is the leader of all the cars who have pitted is one of the most important parts of road racing, keeping track of the two different races that's going on right now.
Yeah, we saw a driver in the background on the exit of the carousel go around. I couldn't quite see who it is. It might have been Feeney. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think Feeney went around, got to the inside wall. Doesn't look like he had much damage from it, but another costly mistake there.
Yeah, Feeney has really not been having it the race he had hoped for. All this going on behind Eric Stout. Boy, no matter what you do, we talked about throwing a monkey wrench in the mechanism there. Nothing seems to bother Teak Pop, as he has got 2 races, 2 wins in a row, 3 out of the last 4. Looks like he's the man to beat as far as the championship goes, but we're not even halfway yet. Still plenty of time.
Yeah, but Eric is definitely showcasing his talent. It doesn't seem to matter, like you said, what type of track, and that shows a well-rounded driver. If you're able to get it done on any type of track and any type of car, this being a different vehicle than what they normally run, this being the Tour Modified, it shows his skill set is well-rounded there.
JR, I know your specialty is the oval, but I know enough. I've done road races and never said, hey, don't underestimate what JR Shepherd could do. We have a car spinning at for position. Ken Allen. Ken Allen was racing in 4th and he lost it.
Yeah, it's just that tricky last corner, that last right-hander before you come onto the front straightaway. And what you see here is he's trying to get it turned down. He may have actually been trying to pit at the time. I'm not sure, but he was really trying to hold that car down. And if he was pitting, he didn't decide to. So I think he was just trying to hold it down a little bit more than what was needed.
Boy, on that shot, you can still see how these, even the Tour Modifieds are staggered. Is that a weird thing? Do they corner? I know they're meant to turn left. Do they corner better to the left than on the right on a road course, or is that something you don't notice when you're in these things?
You notice it, but it's the opposite of what you think, and a lot of that goes into the setups. This primarily being a right-hand corner road course, these cars turn really well to the right with the Team 53 setups that are in them. They turn poorly to the left, but you don't have many left-handers, so it's all right. You make all your time up on the right-hander corners.
The car we saw spinning was TJ Henson. Remember, he made that early stop. He is no longer the leader of all the cars with a pit stop. Let me correct myself. It's still is TJ Henson, even with that loop that he did. But certainly that's going to hurt his chances of the late reveal strategy.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of lost track of, which is not a surprise to anybody, but when Henson pitted, he didn't come back out into traffic that he was racing with on the lead lap. He's actually going a lap down, so it takes that long to get your pit stop made. Something that some of the drivers up front may be thinking about, skipping the tire change and just taking in a little bit of fuel at the end, making a shorter stop.
And there is an interesting thing about just the attitude when you're racing a guy that is a lap down, as look with TJ Henson now in a battle. And again, this is a battle not for position. This is TJ Henson racing Rex Hoyle. But remember, TJ's out there trying to go as fast as he can because he's racing somebody who's a lap ahead of him and on the other side of the track. He's just trying to put in lap times right now.
Yeah, definitely. Even when you were that higher ranked driver, if you pit and come out a lap down, you start racing these guys, they start racing you back because they're on the lead lap. They're wanting to hold on to that position, and they're wanting to try to slow you down for when they make their pit stop. So absolutely, TJ's getting held up a little bit here, and that's kind of the worst case scenario, is pitting and then coming out as a lap down car.
Okay, our contract calls for us to put the camera on the race leader every so often. We do not want to lose our deal here, so let's go ahead and focus in on Eric Teapot Stout. 10 seconds between him and his nearest competitor. All right, that's enough of Stout. Boy, not only is he alone on the tower, he's alone on the track as well.
Yeah, him and Bradley Steffen, you know, they're equally spaced, you know, first to second,
really?
second to third. Yeah, so they're both just kind of by themselves out there. It's a nice ride for them. They're not having to worry about anybody.
You go down one more, it's a 10-second gap to Steffen, a 10-second gap to Hamill. Then Hamill's almost got like 8.5 on Higgins, so the front three have really distanced themselves. Lap traffic, the only thing they really need to worry about.
Yeah, and it just comes down to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. It comes down to eliminating those mistakes, and those top three drivers haven't had many mistakes, especially those top two, and that's why they're continuing to pull away lap after lap.
Okay, so we got another car on pit road. This is Chad Alcaraz. So what we're going to do is focus on our cars, then we're going to try to pick up TJ Henson. TJ is on the back side of the track. We'll see if Henson can hang on to the lead. Now he's on the front straightaway. Am I correct on this? I think so. No, he's on the back stretch. Look how long these pit stops are for these SK Modifieds. It's sinful.
It's very, very time consuming for sure, and yeah, that's the thing, is that in the tour modifieds, they're just not used to making you like green flag pit stops. They usually have to have like a stage break or a midway break.
Alcaraz is rolling, and AJ Hamill has clashed. Hamill was in the top three. Remember, he had that 10-second gap between him and Steffen, and him and Higgins. He's still out there, though.
Yeah, he's still rolling. We'll take a look at this replay, and I believe this is going into the last corner, that last right-hander. And yeah, if you carry too much speed, try to keep that car hunkered down or turned onto the inside line. The rear end's going to get very light right there, and it's going to come around on you. But it looks like he comes away unscathed, but he is going to lose a couple of positions and lose time on the speedway.
Okay, let's look at the 17 now of Chad Alcaraz. He was able to get well out in front of TJ Henson. Remember, Henson had that little looper that probably slowed him down. So now of all the cars who have pitted, Alcaraz is the leader.
Yeah, and the great thing for him, and this is something that inside the car, if you can work strategy in your head, you can see Alcaraz came out pretty well by himself on track. Therefore, he's going to be able to turn the laps he wants to turn and continue to make up ground on those other drivers that haven't pitted yet.
I believe we were looking at about that. That's Higgins and Kid Lemon Lime. Am I correct on that? And there's the pass being made. Luke Logan Allen gets inside, a mistake by Bob Higgins. And, you know, all of a sudden, the guys who are racing in third are having it a tough time. A.J. Hamill was in third, no longer. Bob Higgins makes a mistake. Kid Lemon Lime on the move.
He is. He's moving up front, and I expected him to be able to race with those leaders if he could keep it clean. And I know it looked very, very rough for Rob Higgins there in that last corner, but he actually did a nice job of not destroying his race car. It'd been very easy to get in the outside wall there.
We've reached the halfway mark. More drivers have yet to pit than have pitted. Let's go ahead and look at Hazlip now. He makes a pit stop. We'll check where Alcaraz is. Alcaraz is just coming across pit entry. Chad's going to blow by him, and Chad's going to hang on to that lead of all the cars who have made a stop. Interesting stat for Hazlip. I mentioned it. He's sitting 13th in the points. But surprisingly, no driver has turned more laps, including points leader Eric Stout, than the Lipper.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience, Hazelip is a driver that is learning all the time. He's constantly learning, and the more you're able to do that is by turning more laps. So he's very good at making sure he completes all the laps and gets all the experience that he can. And usually the first season in a league or something may be a little rough, but you see season 2 come around, Hazelip's going to have some speed.
All right, now you saw A.J. Hamill making a pit stop. This is maybe the first driver that has a legitimate chance to get out in front of Alcaraz. Alcaraz is on the backside of the track. I'll be honest with you folks, it's impossible for me to time where a car is and how that relates to the bogey time of when the guy is going to get out of pit lane. Hamill beginning to roll, and I think A.J. Hamill now is going to take over the honors of being out in front of all the cars who pitted. He did. Remember, he was racing up in third until he had his little mistake. So he pits right about the halfway mark.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about these road course races is they start to get a little bit boring because you're seeing drivers spread out. Once the pit stop cycle starts to happen, it's very interesting because you see drivers on all kinds of different strategies, and we have to wait till near the end of the race to really see how each one of those strategies play out.
Rob Higgins decides to make a stop. He was racing up the order. Jeff Aho coming in as well, so now we got a couple big names there. We'll keep an idea. We'll look at Hamill. Hamill's coming. Hamill's on the front straight now. Higgins is rolling. This is going to be close. Higgins at pit exit. Hamill at full song. Higgins is out on the track. Aho is out as well. Hamill beats Aho, but not Higgins. But Hamill's coming. What about tire? Well, they're not really changing tires, so tire temperature doesn't matter. Look at the momentum, though, that Hamill has. I guess it maybe take a while to get the cars rolled up. Higgins is still trying to get it up to speed. Hamill is he gonna force the issue? He is.
Yeah, it wasn't what Higgins wanted at all coming out of the pits, but because of the way the pit exit is, he has a sharper corner, does not have the speed coming out of turn 1 that Hamill was able to carry, and Hamill carried that speed all the way through the S's down the backstretch.
Well, that was fun. A.J. Hamill racing in 9th right now. Again, we're talking 2 races. One for the guys who haven't pitted and the one for the ones that have. Eric Stout out there. Wonder, maybe Stout can back off and try to do it on no stops.
It would be extremely interesting if he could. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but he's got a ton of speed, got a big gap over the drivers he's racing. So he can definitely work a little bit different strategy. He may even be saving fuel just to get a couple of extra laps out of the car before he pits, and in return, that's going to allow him to have a quicker pit stop.
We have a new feature here on VGN we don't use very often. Can we bring up the spoiler alert? Now, if you don't want to know about the IROC race that we broadcast, then don't cover your ears while this little sticker is up here. Throw it up there. Oh, we don't have it. Sorry. All right. Count to 10. You can come back. I don't know, folks, if you've been listening to Fuel Strategy, if you're listening to J.R. Shepard based on what we saw in the IROC series. If you haven't seen that race, give it a look. JR, don't give it away, buddy. I apologize. I don't want to pour salt in the wound.
It's not a bad assessment. Not a bad assessment at all.
All right, we'll hope you're back. We are working lap number 25. Eric Stout's having it his own way. He started on the pole. He really hasn't been threatened since the first corner. The other man we're keeping an eye on is J.J. Hamill. Now, Hamill was racing up front for a lot of this. He had a little spin while he was in third, dropped a few positions. if I'm able to pull up lap times. Are we able to tell, Jay, or do you have that ability to look to see who's running the fastest laps right now? I'm not able to do that. Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
Who has? Oh, Stout with the fastest lap of the race. No surprise, I guess.
Yeah, Stout's got the fastest lap, but on track right now, the driver turning the fastest lap is Bradley Steffen. So he's running 14.5-second laps, just a little bit slower than Stout, or sorry, just a little bit faster than Stout, but not by much.
Looking at 19 cars took the grid. Andrew Critical Massey, don't know if he even went out there and turned a lap. And Doyle Lawrence as well. So really only 17 that went racing. Bob Higgins, who qualified in 17th, is the last car out there. Who's 13th right now? No, let me correct myself. I apologize. It's Bruce Pearson. Haven't heard much. Bruce had an early night. Double deuce. Wrecked out early. So we have 16 cars that are racing. Brandon Feeney is the last out there. 9 laps down.
We'll look at Rob Higgins here going into turn 1. And yeah, just way too much corner entry speed going into the corner there. He may have even shifted down and it just locked up the rear end, but definitely carried way too much speed on corner entry.
JR, help me out on because I know these cars really aren't used to shifting. Do you have to, when you downshift on these cars, does it match the throttle for you, or do you have to do that with the gas pedal? Do you have to get the RPMs matched when you downshift, or is that something you don't have to worry about?
Yeah, this car's definitely not going to do it for you or assist you in any way. So definitely, if you want to do an early shift, you're going to have to match it with the throttle pedal in order to keep the RPMs where they need to be to prevent wheel hop. Otherwise, you're going to have to use that brake, slow down in the middle of the corner, and then you can shift normally. But most drivers want to use that shift down to help slow the car down. So you're going to have to match the RPMs using that throttle.
Let's look at Brandon Feeney. This is not a battle for position. That's Jeff Aho. Hey, the kid is on pit road. Luke Logan Allen. Well, we know he's fast on the track. Let's see how fast he is in the box. The driver we are watching is A.J. Hamill. Granny Hips Buckley coming down pit lane as well. Buckley was not up in the order. We don't expect him to really challenge Hamill. Okay, Hamill now on the front straight. Kid Lemon Lime still parked. He is rolling, but I'm gonna think it's gonna be not enough. He's trying to get on track. Whoa, this is gonna be close. I think the momentum to the driver who is out there. Here he comes, A.J. Hamill. Much better job this time. Kid Lemon Lime getting on the throttle. Boy, he has a tough time through there. Let's see if the momentum is gonna matter.
Yeah, what's going to help Luke Logan Allen there is that he was able to basically block Hamill going up into the S's, and you cannot go double file up through there. It is way too hard to hang on to that thing, and he's going to be able to hold Hamill off as we go into the bus stop, and it looked like it actually caused Hamill to kind of miss his entry into that bus stop, so he's losing a little bit of ground.
Indeed, so nice job from the kid. Okay, now we got somebody who's really going to make a shot at this. Bradley Steffen has come down pit lane. He has made a stop, and he is coming out. Steffen was racing in second. He's going to clearly get out in front of all the guys.
Yeah, and you could see from that pit stop, he did not spend a lot of time on pit road. So he's only taking the amount of fuel that he needs. Did not take any tires, and in doing so, his pit stop was a lot shorter than some of those guys that pitted earlier.
And because he really only has to calculate another 11 laps, it's probably easier for him to figure out how much fuel he needs just to go 11 laps to the end compared to the guys who started much earlier. Almost everybody has made a pit stop. Stout, Ken Allen, Rex Hoyle, and Brian Bianchi, the only 4 drivers still out there. With that said, Kid Limonlime's dad, Ken Allen, coming in. He was in 3rd when he came in at the time. See how he cycles out. Stefan got around him. Now it'll be interesting here if Luke Logan Allen can... Are there horns in this car? Can Luke Logan honk the horn as he goes by Dad, who's stuck on pit lane?
I don't think he minds making contact if they come nose to tail on the racetrack. So
Ken Allen's still in pit lane, and here comes his son. And there goes his son. Come on, Dad. Dad begins to roll.
See, Eric Stout, he is in his box right now, and we're watching Bradley Steffen because we know that he has made a stop, and he is, I believe, just come through the carousel, so he is heading toward the front stretch here.
Stout's beginning to roll. The gap was just so huge. I mean, Stout honestly could have got out of the car, and well, Teapot actually could have made himself a cup of tea, a little Earl Grey, and still had time to get out in front of the nearest competitor. He's back out in front, and I'm not even sure he lost. He got credited with losing out front. Nope, he's lit them all, even with the pit stop.
Yeah, it's just that's just a big race that he's having here. Being able to make that pit stop and not losing any positions just shows you the kind of skill that he has. And we've talked about it all year. He's been fast on all the short tracks, but obviously carries that skill over to the road race here.
Let's look at Rex real quick. The man in second right now. He's still left to make a stop. It's Rex Hoyle. And I would be thinking he'd be making a stop here pretty soon. Hoyle and Brian Bianchi, the 2 drivers yet to pit. And then we'll be home free. We'll put in these final 10 laps. Got to tip the hat to these guys. They're not used to racing twisty courses. Hamill coming in. Oh, correct myself. Hoyle coming in. Honestly, not a whole lot of contact on track. A couple self-spins. But they did a pretty good job. Put on a good show.
Yeah, overall, these drivers have done a great job as far as their racecraft out here, because the one thing at a road course is drivers always try to outbrake the other driver, and in doing so, you usually see a lot of mistakes and a lot of crashes occurring from it, one driver being taken out by another, and we just haven't seen that here. We've even seen some self-spins with drivers trying to avoid that contact.
And Cinderella has a curfew here as finally Brian Bianchi is forced to come in before his modified turned into a pumpkin. See where Bianchi sorts out when it's all said and done. Of all the drivers who had road course experience, he had the best result, that being an 8th last time out. He's going to come out in what I think is going to be about 10th. All right, now I want to drill down on the dominance that is Eric Teapot Stout. We talked about him having won 2 in a row. We didn't mention that those 2 wins were wire to wire. So there's 200 laps out in front. Add another one here tonight. My goodness. He hasn't been chasing anybody for a long time.
It's pretty well been clear sailing for him. Definitely nobody in front of him, but if you're one of the drivers that have a lot of speed, that's what you want to see. You want to see a clean racetrack because you're able to just hit your marks just like you're doing during a practice or qualifying session. And that's what he's able to do. He's just not had to deal with a whole lot of issues or other cars out there.
Of course, we are at Watkins, Glen, and it's in the Finger Lakes area. There's a lot of wildlife out here. I'm not sure if iRacing has implemented the new rabbit and fox feature on rocation, where they can actually wander out on the track and cause you trouble. Other than that, I'm still pulling for the Godzilla feature, where Godzilla comes and tramples the track during a race. Man, I think that would be good. But until that gets in, I think Eric Stout's pretty much got this his own way.
Yeah, definitely. And you're looking at Luke Logan Allen there, back to A.J. Hamill, who's continuing to keep good pace. So there is the possibility that these two could start racing it out as we get in the closing laps here. But one of the things that I noticed early on from our leaders, or excuse me, just a little while ago from our leaders, is that when you watch them on track, they are very, very smooth. They're very precise with where their cars are as they do corner entry, where they want to place the car, and also on corner exit. They're not letting the car move around or go too far out. As you see Eric Stout take that inside line, almost hit the apron on the right-hand side, comes out onto that rumple strip on the left-hand side, and he's just holding the car perfect. And you don't see it wiggling around. We talked about how hard they are to drive up through the S's. His car is staying nice and straight through there, even as he's trying to catch the driver in front of him to make this pass on the lap car.
Looking at that car that he is trying to go around, that is Rob Higgins, the last car on the lead lap. Higgins gives him some room. No, JR, I want to drill down big picture here. I want to get your opinion on this, because you've raced in a lot of series, and you've been up near the front in points so often. Right now, we have Eric Stout, our points leader, out in front, and the man who came in second in the points is Bradley Steffen, and he's right behind him. But the problem is for Steffen, this series gives bonus points for winning, so he loses more ground to Stout finishing first to second than he would if he finished second to third, if that makes sense to you. There's an advantage to getting that win.
Yeah, absolutely there is. I see Brian Bianchi go off a little bit, but the big thing is I realize that Stout's going to continue to open up that point lead. But I've always said that if you are a driver that is racing up in the points and you are having a night that's just not going the way that you want it to go, you need to minimize the damage. You need to minimize that point loss. And right now, Bradley Steffen is doing that. The best thing that he can do is come home in second place where he's running.
Yeah, I've called a lot of championships where the champion, not only notorious for winning, but he's also notorious, maybe even more so, of turning a 25th place finish into a 8th place finish. And at the end of the broadcast, when you're calling down the order, you say, "Oh, there he is," And yeah, points are points no matter where you get them. Glad you're with us here tonight. Round number 7. We have 6 before this one. This is 7th of a 16th race schedule. Coming across the line, we got ourselves 5 to go for Eric Stout. A nice little Thursday afternoon drive for the Teapot. Who's our big mover? It's really not as big as you would think. You look down here, you saw what Luke Logan Allen was able to do. Jeff Aho, we noticed when we were calling the grid, he started so far down the order in 10th. Racing in 6th, picked up 4 spots.
Yeah, and the big thing about Aho, because we've not talked about him a whole lot tonight, he qualified 10th, so he's not had the pace that he wants to have, but yeah, he has moved up those 4 positions into 6th place, and a lot of that's just been because he's kept his car clean. He hasn't gone off track and made some of the mistakes that these other drivers are doing, and that is what you need to do to get a decent finish at a place like this. You don't have to have a ton of speed. You just need to keep the car on track, keep it clean.
Page 17 of the VGN Commentator's Handbook says whenever you have the opportunity to put on camera the man who pays the bills, do it. And we have an opportunity now as we look at car number 13. Joshua Granny Hips Buckley, series organizer. We talked about Jeff Aho being up 4 spots. Granny Hips up 4 spots as well. 1 lap down, racing inside the top 10.
I think he's having a lot of fun, Soup.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to go around.
Oh,
Oh, my bad. That's like the commentator's curse. But he was really willing that thing for a little while. I was getting excited watching him.
oh my God, he's got to be thinking, I've been not on screen the entire time. I've had a nice clean race. You put the camera on me. You wonder if he's watching the broadcast and felt the pressure.
Yeah, some drivers do. So, yeah, absolutely.
So now we have a battle for position. Buckley's mistake now has brought Bianchi, who just had a mistake. These guys are just, it's the guy who can make less mistakes. The 14 seems to have momentum as he starts to run down that fluorescent blue machine. He's going to get him. Buckley might be. You know, I'm looking at the right front tire, and it seems to be pointing. Well, I think the car's going to turn really well to the right.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, but it's probably going to really hurt him on the left-hand corner. So he's going to have to change his driving style. Obviously, he's got some damage, but he can nurse the car home. So he's just going to have to change what he's doing and keep that in his mind each and every time he goes into a corner.
Okay, let's look at the leader. Here's how you can lose a race that's yours to win. As he comes up on the back of the 17 of Chad Alcaraz. Let's see how hard Chad works him. Gonna let him have it.
Yeah, but the important thing about that, even though Alcaraz moved out of the way and let him have it, it's still up to Eric Stout to get that pass made cleanly and to not make a mistake when doing it. We've talked about it most of this race. He's been out on a clean racetrack with nobody in front of him. Now he's got those cars in front of him as he's lapping them, and it's very easy to get out of your rhythm and make a mistake. So he still has a job to do in these last couple of laps.
JR, so often we talk about the dirty track on an oval, and that makes a lot of sense. And I guess maybe because they're turning so many more laps around there, you expect it to get a little bit dirty. On a race course like this, is the line a little messier when you get off the groove?
I find it not to be as bad as what it is on an oval, just because the oval is kind of contained with the walls, so you kind of keep that rubber bounced back into where you end up racing if you're in that second groove or a little bit higher up. Here it's way out toward the grass on most of the corners, and I just don't see it affecting the cars as much as what it would on an oval.
That's disappointing to hear, because I'm one of those drivers that get off outside and looping around, and I've been blaming the road being dirty forever. Now you've spoiled my excuse.
Now, I will say, when we just went through the carousel view right there, there is rubber, there is marbles up on that high line. So if you get a little bit too high, you see it when the NASCAR drivers are here, that rear end will come right around on you. So it is something to watch, but if you run a normal type line around here, you're going to have no problems.
Best battle on the track right now is between the 18 of A.J. Hamill and the 81 of Ken Allen. Those numbers are inverted, and they'd like to right now, at least Ken Allen would like to invert the running order if they could. Ken Allen's been up and down the standings. I think he's been as high as third and fell as far down as maybe 6th or 7th after a few mistakes. He's coming back. Well, we've made it to the final lap. Eric Stout, you got it all your way. Bradley Steffen, keeping him honest. Maybe the star of the show, Kid Lemon Lime, Luke Logan Allen.
Yeah, he's had a nice recovery. I know that it'll show on screen that he's only going from 4th to 3rd place, but he fell way back to 10th, 11th place at one point in this race, so nice recovery.
Best battle right now we are watching. And we'll stay on this until until Eric Stout gets close to the finish, and we'll cover him coming across the line. Then we'll jump back, and we'll watch Hamill and Allen, see how this sorts out. We'll have plenty of time, as those guys are almost a minute behind our leader.
Yeah, and I think AJ's actually going to be very surprised with this finish, being able to maintain that top 5. We see Eric Stout. He's coming here to the finish line.
Let's make it 3 in a row for Teapot. Eric Stout. He's going to open up his points lead just a little bit on Bradley Steffen. Steffen's got 26 seconds before he comes across the line. Let's go back and look at the battle for 4th. Hamill has now opened it up a bit on Allen.
Yeah, and what I was talking about with Hamill, we talked with him last week after the race. He is not a road course driver, was not a fan of coming here, and talked about his teammate Eric Stout potentially talking him into coming here. I think he's probably going to be glad that he did it if he can hang on to this.
Steffen gets 2nd. Luke Logan Allen's going to cross the line for 3rd, and we'll stay on this battle for 4th. And it indeed is going to be A.J. Hamill, I think, as they come across.
Yeah.
Oh, he's closing, though.
He's closing. He's made a good left-hander. He's got to make sure he does not overdrive this right-hand corner. The car will get very loose on corner exit if he does so, but he's doing all right. I don't think that he's going to get past here.
Going to run out of real estate. He tries to duck underneath. A little bit of an unnecessary block there. Oh, that was fun, though. Hamill gets the best, rounded out your top 5, Ken Allen. And those are the only drivers who finish on the lead lap. This race is now officially over. Everybody has been waved done. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and run down the entire finishing order before we put a lock on the gate. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. Welcome back to Watkins Glen International and VGN's 7th round coverage of the 13th edition of the Red Light Racing League Skinner Creek SK Modified Series. The results are in. Let's give them to you now. Wire to wire for Eric Stout. He does it again. That's 3 in a row. Bradley Steffen chasing him in the points. Well, he's chasing him on the track and in the points as well. He goes in second position. Luke Loken Allen started in fourth, fell back, worked his way back. Kid Lemon Lime gets the final podium spot. AJ Hamill and Ken Allen go fourth and fifth. I'll go down to 10th position here. Jeff Aho, Chad Alcaraz, Rob Higgins, and Rex Hoyle go 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And in 10th position, it is Brian Bianchi. RJ? Or JR? Or whatever initials you'd like.
I'll change them up. Yeah, coming home in 11th place, got Fred Leclerc tonight. Josh Buckley, we saw him have some interesting closing laps there. He comes home in 12th. Chris Hazlett, 13th tonight. Bob Higgins, he comes home in 14th. Brandon Feeney, 15th. TJ Henson having issues during the race tonight. He comes home in 16th place. And Bruce Pearson going out of the race early. He comes home in 17th place. And we do show 18th and 19th on there, but they did not complete any laps here tonight.
With that said, let's go ahead and dial up our points leader, our race winner, Teapot Eric Stout. Oh, a pretty New York day for a Thursday afternoon drive. Congratulations, Eric. Another wire-to-wire win for you. Whether you go in ovals or twisty courses, you're good.
Thank you, Soup. I appreciate the kind words.
Anything to worry about? During the race?
Messing up, really. I did, obviously, quite a bit of work. AJ and I did a lot of work this week, again. And there's a couple spots where, even like in my long runs, where I didn't feel like I was pushing it too hard, the car had come out from underneath me. Especially turn one exit, and a couple odd moments in the bus stop. And I actually had one, Bradley and I were just sort of laughing about it, but I had a moment maybe around like lap 7 or 8 where entering the bus stop, I hit it the same way I felt like I'd been hitting it, and the car just kind of went straight instead of turning. But other than that, I was just trying to keep it straight and keep it underneath me. I know that this one was definitely kind of an oddball, combo, for the season. I think we sort of talked about last week that not a ton of guys do a lot of road racing. So it was going to be obvious, like, who was comfortable, who put the work in. And so speaking of that, I got to take a moment. I need to recognize my teammate, AJ. When you guys talked last week, he didn't even want to show up tonight, and I said, give me 30 minutes. Like, we can make some improvements, and he put a lot of work in, really working like on the telemetry and laps like together and on our own, and he had an awesome night. So really happy for him, proud of him and the result and the work that he put in, and yeah, good night. So back to the regularly scheduled programming next week. Turning left. I know a lot of guys will be happy about it. But I felt like this first stretch of the season, with respect to the championship, was pretty important. I have some tracks the second half of the season that I'm not as comfortable at. So I really wanted to show out the first 6-7 races here, have some strong finishes, so I could hopefully build a little not a cushion for the lead necessarily, because I had no idea how things were going to play out, but just put myself in a good spot, in the top 3 or so, to set up the second half of the season. So I think that's what we did the first 7 weeks here. Pretty happy with the effort, and going to keep rolling next week at USA.
Gives us reason to tune in. Congratulations on the win. Keep it going. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Soup.
And then I think my partner is caught up with the man who's trying to keep him honest in the points, Bradley Steffen.
Let's go, guys. Good to see you.
Indeed. Hey, Bradley. Hey, congratulations on that second place run, man. Looked pretty straightforward from up in the broadcast booth, but I looked at your stats on the official side. You've got quite a bit of road racing background, including some wins. Did you feel comfortable coming here tonight?
Someone did a little homework, didn't they? Yeah, man. I've won an official iRacing championship in the F3 Dallara IndyCar thingamajobbers. I've been around, do a lot of road racing, so yeah, this track, nothing new to me, obviously, but this car at this track, definitely new. So Did a little practice. Eric put up a host lobby earlier this week, I think Sunday, I don't know, but did a little bit there. Did the practice yesterday, see where we were at. But he was the king. He was so fast. I don't know what I could have done to get quicker, but obviously maybe more practice. But it was a good night. I'm so happy to be back up here and talking to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about you're the closest guy to him in the championship right now. I know he gained some points on you tonight, but how important is it to minimize the mistakes and come home right behind him in order to minimize that points damage?
Oh, you literally took the words right out of my mouth. That's all I was concerned about. Just try to keep this points battle as close as I can. Like I said, I knew he was going to be fast tonight. I'm fast. Now, I wasn't sure even yesterday during our practice if I'm like, well, these are some quick guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get second, but tonight was just about not making mistakes. We're quick, just don't make mistakes. I mean, I almost lost it once. It scared me pretty good, but yeah, just stay close to Eric. I mean, it is what it is. I knew he was going to win. You know, just like you said, try to minimize that points lead. Coming in second, that's the next best thing you can do, and we did it. Can't complain. Very happy.
Yeah, you did a great job tonight, man. Before I let you go, what about going in the next week? Go back to USA. It's a common short track, but a very line-sensitive track. So what are your thoughts going into there?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure. It's probably been at least a year maybe since I've been there in these, or last season. I don't know. I mean, we'll be all right. We just got to do some practice, kind of see where we sit, and kind of just go from there. We'll see what happens.
All right, man. Hey, congratulations on that run tonight. You did a great job. Kept her clean out there. Maybe we'll get to talk to you again next week.
I hope so. I definitely hope so.
All right, guys. That was Bradley Steffen. He's our second place finisher here tonight, and with that, I think Soup's caught up with our third place finisher.
This is Luke here.
Hey, actually, Luke, do we have you?
Uh-huh.
Luke Logan Allen, congratulations. Man, you had a nice run. You started in fourth. You fell back a little bit. Tell us what happened to you. You fell down the order a little bit. What happened?
I think I hit the inside curb coming out of turn 6, I think. And then I tried to stabilize the car going above the curve, and then the right rear and the left rear weren't even and just went around. And then I was in traffic and I didn't want to hit anyone, so I just turned the wheel one way, reverse a little bit, turned the wheel all the other way, and then gassed it and tried to continue.
Then you had it, and then you made a nice run through the field, and you had some fun at pit exit there. First of all, how'd your pit stop go? Were you happy with that? And you got out just in front of the guy who was chasing.
I was happy. I lost I think a second because I was in neutral, and I didn't shift, and I was just revving in neutral, so I lost about a second or two.
Pit stops are new to you. Have you done much road racing on the service?
I think I've only done a few Global Mazda rookie races, and that's it.
Well, you looked good, man. You had a nice run. You finished ahead of where you started, and you beat your dad. That's always important. Final question here, man. It's a school night. Have you done your homework?
I didn't have any more homework tonight.
Oh, teacher must have known it's a racing night. Hey, congratulations. It's great to talk to you. Kid Lemon Lime, Luke Allen. Well done, buddy, and a nice job on the interview, too.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Oh, that was fun. That was really a lot of fun. I like that one a lot. With that said, we're going to wrap it up here tonight. Our broadcast is almost done, but don't leave yet, because you want to know, when are we going to show another one of these? Well, we're going to be back next week, and we're going to one of my favorite tracks. I love USA. It's so long. Is it a short track? Is it a medium track? I guess it's a short track. I like it. It'll be fun. You want to tune in for that one. But before that, the BRL, that's Outlaw, the SK Modifieds, we're going to be here back on a Saturday night for the doubleheader for the Modifieds and the late models coming up this Saturday. Those broadcasts, past broadcasts, future broadcasts, all the production of the Virtual Grip Network. We've had a long one tonight with the road car, so we'll kind of wrap it up quick. I don't see a hat in the coat closet for you, so I'm just going to say, until next time, have fun storming the castle.